everybody, welcome to this video. This video is a wrap-up video. It's been a while since we've done one of these, back in January and February. So we have 3 months to cover, that's why there's a huge pile here of books. So we're going to cover March, April and May, and then we're all caught up. I do apologise for not doing the wrap up sooner. It's just been a crazy time. And yeah, there's been life to deal with as well along the way. So I just have my reading journal here to sort of prompt me a bit, because it's been a while obviously since some of the books. And we have heaps and heaps of books to go through. I've just sort of piled it in order per month so I know what's going on. There's a mixture of reads here, some average, some really amazing, like 5 stars, some 3, 4, yeah, around there. A variety of reading ways as well. Some I did on Audible, some I obviously physically read. There's also an ARC advanced reader copy that I also read on NetGalley as well during that time frame. If you don't know what NetGalley is, it's a app and a website where you get to request books before their published dates, and you give feedback on those after you read them and get accepted to read them. So it's really fun, and all the books are like electronic, so you get to read them on your Kindle or iPad or tablet or whatever. So yeah, quite a lot. I'll also cover, as well as ratings and a bit of a review without spoilers, I will add. I will also add like the challenges that I'm doing, if the books covered them or if they were just for fun reads. So we're gonna start off with this one here, Emily Wild's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I finally got to this one. Last year I started it, but what I was doing, I was like starting some books and then not finishing them in the month, so I wouldn't flow them over, which is what I do now. I flow them over. But I managed to get to this because an online book club that I'm a part of, they did it for their monthly read in March, so that was nice and handy. I gave it 4 stars. I will put up on the screen too the star rating, so you know. It was like diary entry journals, which was easy. I actually listened to it on Audible as well, just to get me into it a bit more, because the first time I wasn't really into it that much. But once I got going in the story, I enjoyed it. It's definitely a good one. I do have the second one on my shelf, buried back in there. So I will read the second one day. I do recommend it. It is a nice fantasy read, especially about fairies. And I did the A to Z challenge for the letter E, which is one of my challenges. So that's our first one. I'm going to be flicking and looking at my journal, as I said. Okay, our next one is a 5-star read, and it's Sarah J. Maas, Heir of Fire. I'm working my way through the Throne of Glass series, which is my first series by this author, and I am loving it to death. I obviously gave it 5 stars. If all the books so far are 5 stars, I just really love this series, and I do recommend it even though I'm halfway through it. It was the A to Z challenge for the letter H, which was awesome. I'm covering that challenge really well. If you do want to see where I'm up to with the challenges, I might at the end actually pop like images up if you want to check those out as well. Yeah, I'm going really well with them both. I also do the Taylor Swift challenge as well. What else? So there were some interesting developments in this part of the story, and I am still loving every moment of it, and I'm looking forward to the next book and the rest of the series. I actually just finished the most recent book at the end of last month, so you'll hear about that very, very soon. But yeah, I'm working my way through the series and loving it. Should go like that actually. Okay. Next book. I finally read Better Than the Movies. It took forever to get to it. I gave this 5 stars. I absolutely loved this. I knew I would. It was just, you know, actually getting to read it. I enjoyed it. There were a few long chapters that kind of bugged me a bit, but overall it was a great story, and I loved all the movie links because I'm a big movie buff as well as a book buff. And there's some song links in there as well, so that captured me as well because I also love music. Talking about music, this actually met a Taylor Swift challenge song for me, which is the song Bad Blood, because it's a enemies to lovers book, and yeah, really, really loved that one. So we're going well so far. The next book was also a part of a group read for my online book club. It's called Mr. Right Next Doors by Katie Montanaro. This copy is amazing because it's actually signed by the author. And yeah, it was an exciting month too in regard to this book, not just for reading it, which I gave it 5 stars for. I really love this author's writing. I love all the books so far and can't wait to get into more by her. The next couple of books are like links to this one. It's like a mini series, so that's cool. I did the letter M challenge for this one, for the A to Z challenge. As I said, I loved it. All the characters were great, as well as each scene. It was engaging from the start, and the story was super quick to read and easy to read. And as I said, I love the author's writing and highly recommend her. She's an Aussie author as well, based down in Melbourne, so if you love those kind of reads as an Australian, definitely check her writing out. And yeah, it was a super exciting month as well because we actually got to chat to Katie via, what was it, via Zoom, was it Zoom? Yeah, and we got to chat for one night and get to know her as an author and ask her any questions we had, and obviously talk about the book that we read. And it was just super, super amazing to actually do that. It was a really enjoyable experience, and yeah, definitely a great author to check out. This next one, this month I actually had lots of 5-star reads and 1 4-star read. This was another 5-star read, Caravel. I decided actually, because I kept going for Once Upon a Broken Heart, I decided to start the Caravel series because I heard online that you meant to start with this one before that one. So I picked up Caravel and I read the first one and I loved it. I was like a quarter of the way through it and I meant to buy the rest of the series because I absolutely loved it. So yeah, 5 stars. Let us see for the A to Z challenge, so we're covering that again. Yeah, so love, just super excited to finish the series. I have in my TBR the second one for this month, which is awesome. And yeah, I'm just really looking forward to the rest of the series because I loved this one. And that was all March, which was an exciting month. So we're going to move on to April. Yeah, April. We started with an Agatha Christie book called Murder on Orient Express. You probably all heard of the movie. Well, this is the author of the movie that it's based on. I'm working my way through Agatha Christie books because I love mystery, and Murder on Orient Express is definitely a good one to read. Same as one that I read last year, which was Death of the Nile. Yeah, 2 great ones. A to Z challenge again, letter M this time. And it also fell under Taylor Swift song challenge, which was really good. For the song Nobody, No Crime, because it's a murder mystery book. Yeah, it was a good read, one of my favorites from the author, and once the story got going, it was quick to read, like I finished it in no time. Okay, next one. Next one for the month was Lightlock. Everybody's been reading Lightlock lately, and I gave this one 4 stars. It was the A to Z challenge, letter L. I found it very slow starting. It took me forever to get into this. It took forever to get into the story. I know it's part of a fantasy series, but to not be, it wasn't really capturing me until over halfway mark, and there was a few moments where I was like, do I DNF this or not? But I'm glad I pushed through. And did the whole lot because I ended up giving it 4 stars and liking it. The second half was definitely where the story happened, and it was good. I actually listened to the Audible as well, audio for this as well, which did help. And yeah, the ending of this left us on a really high note. But I'm not sure if I'll continue with the story. I'll see. There are quite a lot of other books that I would probably put before it, to be honest. But you never know, I might end up picking Night Bean up and capturing it in a whole. We'll see. The next one is Namesake by Adrian Young. This is the second book to Fable. Fable is the first one. I read that last year. I gave Fable 4 stars, but I loved Namesake. This one I gave 5 stars. I read it so quickly. I just loved the story in this one. It was really good. Part of a duology. Yeah, but this one I loved and gave it 5 stars. A to Z challenge letter N. Yeah, so I just said, well, a wonderful adventure journey. Loved it. It was tricky to put down and to live life. That's what I said. And then we have one more for that month before we go to April. No, May. We're in April. No, two more because one was a arc. So we read Alice by Christina Henry. This is like a really weird, dark, weird take on Alice in Wonderland. But I was just really curious, I guess you could say. I picked it up at the bookshop when I was in there. And yeah, I was just really curious about the series and got drawn to it, weirdly enough. I gave it 4 stars. It was an interesting read, dark and a little bit scary, to be honest. I did get hooked and it was engaging, and I really wanted to know, like, obviously the story, what happened. I liked the ending, and I do have the next one, which is called Red Queen, so one day I'll pick up that one and read it. There is 3 or 4 in the series. Let me just have a look. 3 in the Alice series, but then she's also got like standalones for Little Red Riding Hood and Little Mermaid and stuff like that. So I just kind of like this kind of thing, so it was interesting. It actually met a Taylor Swift challenge, the song Betty, and the prompt was to do a book with a name in the title, which is obviously Alice. And it also was the letter A for A to Z challenge. So yeah, I'll put those challenges and what I have done up on the end so you guys know about them. And if you're interested, you can see how awesome I'm doing with them both. Yeah. Okay, so before we get on to May, we have an arc, so I'll put an image up somewhere. So on NetGalley I read a fantasy book. It was my first fantasy one actually, called The North Wind. I gave it 4 stars overall, and I'm just going to pick up this because I can't get it off the ground. Obviously a thanks to NetGalley, the author, and the publisher for letting me read the arc early. It is now out on in bookshops, so, and other retailers of books, so keep your eye out for it if you're into fantasy. It was engaging, and it was tricky to stop reading. It was a little bit like Beauty and the Beast, but not too much, so it had like little twerks of it, but it was good because it was its own story as well. There's a little bit of a trigger for some spice in there, which I wasn't expecting personally, and but the story was there as well. The epilogue I was really entertained by. I smiled and laughed with the epilogue, and I definitely recommend The North Wind. It met a Taylor Swift song challenge for You Need to Calm Down, being an overhyped book, because I had heard a lot about it on social media before I requested to read it on NetGalley, mainly from overseas people, because They got it released before we did in Australia, so they were all like, you know, North Wind, blah blah blah. And I was like, what? We haven't even seen that yet. So yeah, it was cool to read that as an ARC, an advanced reader copy. And then we're on to the month that just passed, May. And we'll go through all of that. The first book is Daughter of the Pirate King, which I finally got to. This is a gorgeous special edition. I'm not sure if the foil will show up, but it's gorgeous. I gave this 4 stars. It was easy writing style to read, which was nice. It felt more pirate action. I felt that there could have been a bit more pirate action and adventure. Would have made it a bit more exciting. This one was it was kind of not very adventurous. I was thinking it would be a bit more pirate adventurous. But it was good. And I did enjoy it and gave it 4 stars. It is part of a series, a trilogy, so it was obviously building a little bit as well. D for A to Z challenge, and a Taylor Swift song as well. Forgot You Existed had been on my TBR for a long time. Which it was actually. Okay, next book is Checkmate by Ellie Hazelwood. I really loved this book. I read The Love Hypothesis last year and I only gave it like 2 stars or something like that, but this one I adored. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I found it really, really enjoyable. Yeah, so I loved the story. I loved both of the characters and the other characters. I even cried a little bit when the main female character did. So it proves I was linked to the characters really well. It was well written, and I like how it was round chest as well. It was a bit different. And yeah, I highly recommend this one if you read an Ellie Hazelwood book. Start with this one. A to Z's challenge for the letter C. And yeah, I'm so happy that I enjoyed that one. Okay, we've got 2 more left. So the next one was a book club read for Powerless. I heard so many things for this, so I was, you know, I was keen to get to it, but it was so hyped up as well. I actually listened to the Audible of it as well because the script in it is very tiny and I have sight problems now, so if there's a script that I can't find tricky to read, even with my glasses, I listen to things. Anyway, I gave it 4 stars. It was super slow starting. I know it's a part of the series, kind of like Light-like, I guess you could say. It was slow starting because they were both part of series. But I kept pushing through, and halfway through, the action in the story definitely boosted and got really good. And I loved the ending of it as well. Letter P for A to Z challenge, and I do have Powerful on my shelf just here to read. So yeah, I will be continuing with that one at some point. And then the lucky last book, we're almost there, is Sarah J. Maas with The Queen of Shadows. This one was a very thick one. I was daunted, yes, by the length, and I actually physically read this one with the book. So yeah, I do mix it up with my fantasy of actually physically reading and listening to Audible. The Sarah J. Maas series I physically read, and as I said, Lightlark and Powerless and stuff I audibled. Caravel I physically read though, so yeah, it just depends what it is really. Definitely 5 stars. I'm loving Throne of Glass series. I can't wait to get to the next one, which is Empire of Storms, which is waiting on my shelf. I'm not sure whether to do the tandem read. If you've done Throne of Glass, pop a comment below and mention if you did the tandem or you didn't do the tandem and found it okay. I'm not sure if I'll do it or not because it'll just get a bit everywhere, I'm thinking, but we'll see when the time comes. Yes, series is amazing. I enjoyed it. It flowed really well. It is huge, but don't be daunted by it. And I'm looking forward to the next one, and it's a little queue for the A to Z challenge. So yes, that is everything. We're all caught up with our wrap up. Thank you for hanging around to the end of the video. I greatly appreciate you all. And if you're interested now, I'll pop up the A to Z challenge and the Taylor Swift challenge for you all, so you know how I'm doing with them both. I'm doing really well with them both. Yeah, so we should be right to finish them in the year. We'll see, hey. Stay tuned on Instagram if you would like to do so, and I also put Goodreads in my book videos in the description as well if you want to hang out over there as well. But that's all for this wrap up video. Thank you so much for joining me and watching all my book videos, and all my videos on my channel obviously, and I'll catch you next time. Happy reading everybody. Bye.